All right, now we welcome on Isaiah Harris to the CITIUS MAG podcast with a little bit of news. It's athlete signing season. People are on the move. And so, Isaiah, we'll let you kind of take the reins here and break the news. What is your big decision for 2022?
So as of January 1st, I'm now Brooks Beast.
Congratulations. So
Thank
how did this come about?
just typical. My contract was up, my first contract, and then, the whole renegotiation process, shop around a little bit, see what your best offers are. And one of the things I was really kind of looking for in this next stage was having, a training group. And honestly, this group just made the most sense. There's top athletes in the 800, top athletes in the 15. I can get pushed, in the speed stuff. We got Devin Dixon, who runs 43 in the 400, and then Josh Kerr, who's 329, 1500 guy. If you want to just look at pure training groups, you have to say that this is the best group in the country.
I like that. I like that bold statement. So how's it been? How long have you been with the team? And then, like you mentioned, there's that wide range of talent there. How are you fitting in at practice?
So I've only been with the team for a few days. I just got to Albuquerque for the training camp, the altitude camp. So yeah, we've had one workout. It was a sprint workout. I did it with Kidder and Drew Windle. So went really well. I watched the other guys crush their workout as well. So far, I mean, I've known most of the guys on the team, so it wasn't really too much of like a, getting to know people type of transition. It's just kind of get here and get to work with everybody.
Who on the team are you most excited to get big workouts in with?
Um,
If there's one.
yeah, I'm excited to work with Kidder again because we ran together at Penn State. But I think I'm most excited about Devin because he's just pure talent. I mean, 43-second 400 speed. He's run 144 already, and I think like his ceiling is just so high. So I think crushing some workouts with him will be a lot of fun.
So take us through the last couple of years because we might work, in and out of the different points of your career here, but like you said, I guess when you ran at Penn State, you were pretty successful there and then signed with Nike right afterwards. In the last couple of years, you've kind of been just a lone wolf in training. How did that work? And I guess how did you make it work is the bigger question.
Yeah, I mean, so my first year with Nike, I wanted to stay with my college coach, and that was a big thing. One of the big reasons I stayed or went with Nike was they gave me that option. I still had a year of school left, so I wanted to get my degree. So it just made sense that year. Next year was supposed to be 2020, the Olympic year, and then obviously COVID postponed it. I didn't want to switch coaches during the Olympic year. I felt like that would just, kind of be a dumb move. So then after the postponement of the Olympics, I was in the same situation where it's like, all right, do I switch coaches now and like try to join a group, or do I stay with what's been working and what I know? So, I mean, ultimately, I just decided to stay with what was familiar, stay with my coach at Penn State. And yeah, that's just kind of how things happen. But after that, after last year, I really wanted to make the transition, like I said earlier, into training with pros. Because I mean, my time at Penn State was great, but at some point in your career, you kind of want to move on from that college experience. And towards the end of the year, I would always be doing workouts alone just because, the college guys are peaking a little bit earlier, their season's a little bit earlier. So being able to have people kind of on the same schedule as me to train with year round, I think I could benefit a lot from that.
Isaiah, is there any aspect of your training that you're looking forward to changing at all? Like if it's speed work, weight room, strength work, what are you most excited to sort of tap more into?
Yeah. So one of the reasons I like Danny as a coach is he's very, he has a biomechanics background and he's very detail oriented. At this level in the sport, it's all about doing the little things right. So knowing that he really focuses on those things, things such as form, We have a nutritionist with the team. The weight program is really good. We're working with some people down here in Albuquerque that are phenomenal. You could tell just from day one that they know exactly what they're talking about. So all of those things together, I think, are what got me most excited and kind of what I'm looking forward to, and where I think I can really see improvement.
What have the early conversations been like with Coach Danny Mackey? Because it's funny, Penn State 800U is the nickname, I guess, that some of you guys have dubbed it over time and have, the hardware to back it up. But in addition to that, like, the transition from college to pro sometimes takes an adjustment period for a lot of people. But it's interesting when you look at sort of the history of the Brooks Beast. There's multiple guys from Penn State who have come through the ranks. So it's not that there's this total difference between Penn State's training and the Brooks Beast training. So how did basically handing over your training plan and what you've done in the past work with those first couple conversations with Danny?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, every coach has their own different coaching styles. I would say Danny's is very similar to Gondak's, but it has its differences. Just seeing, Kidder make the transition and then run well. Like, I kind of figured, all right, if he can do that, we had the same kind of background in training, I think the transition will go pretty smoothly for me. So yeah, it was kind of just trusting that, Danny knows what he's talking about, which I fully do. I think you truly need to believe in your coach. And then one of the first things I told him is just like, I am open to like any critique. Like, if you see anything that you want to change, like, tell me. Like, I will not be offended. Like, whatever you think I need, I trust you. Like, this is your expertise. So I think being able to be open as an athlete and be coachable, and like I said, just like fully trusting your coach, is where you'll see the most benefit.
I want to look at last year in particular, because it's probably the body of work that he was looking at most closely. And it's, you got off to this really strong start to the season. You head to the Olympic trials as a pretty strong contender to make the team. You make it through the rounds. In the end, you fall just short of making the team. I think it was like 0.4 seconds in a pretty crazy race that unfolded. In terms of picking up the pieces after that, you went on to walk away with, I would say maybe after a little bit of a coping period, your next couple races were pretty strong after that. How did you sort of overcome that early disappointment that came with missing the team?
Yeah, I mean, this sport is so tough because every single race comes down to those like fractions of a second. And like, it's so important to just have a short-term memory. Like, you can't hang your head over those races forever. Just coming off the trials, I knew I had big races. Diamond Leagues are big races, so it's just like, shake it off and do well there. There's no point in sulking. I did, maybe for the rest of the night, kind of, I was down, but like the next day it's like, all right, get over it. Like, what can I do next? So yeah, going to the Diamond Leagues, taking advantage of those opportunities, and then coming away with a win in a Diamond League was like really big confidence boost for me. I'd always seen myself at that level, but I think it's also nice to kind of just get one of those wins and, kind of show other people like, all right, I belong on this stage, or he belongs on this stage.
I think everyone is young enough now that it's pretty safe to say you're going to have the same players in the 800 final probably over the next 3 years for worlds, for worlds and Olympics for the US at least. Is there anything that you think is going to be a game changer to making a team? Like how you're going to have to race Brazier or Hopple, or any of the other guys that are going to always probably be in the finals?
I wouldn't necessarily say that there's, any specific tactic or whatnot. I think overall, just kind of staying consistent with training, staying healthy, which is easier said than done, and just, going into every race confident. Like, that's all it takes. Like you said, it's like, fractions of a second, anyone can be beat. I don't think anyone's spot is guaranteed other than Donovan's because on Worlds, that's pretty guaranteed. But I mean, the next three, it's like, on any day, anyone can, you know, come from nowhere, and there's always a college guy that pops off who you're gonna have to worry about. So it's really just like whoever's ready on that day, and a lot goes into that.
And it is interesting because like there's parallels you can draw from in just sort of your college experience where multiple times you were so close and so close, and then eventually in your senior year, Michael Cerrone is the favorite for the title, and so you kind of can think of it. Oh yeah, might mention a Clayton Murphy or Bryce Hoppler or Isaiah Jewett as, you know, a strong contender to make the team, but you got to remember a couple years back, like that was the case and you pulled off the win. How can you take from that experience, I guess, moving forward and translating into the pro ranks?
Yeah, I think it's just being confident in myself. It's like, you know, you belong there, you belong in that race, and anyone's beatable. I go into every race thinking I'm going to win. I think everyone should go in with that mentality. But yeah, I've done it before. Cerrone was the top guy. You know, he had the collegiate record, and just like he wanted the race, I went with him, and you know, it unfolded how it did. So yeah, just being confident in yourself, showing up, and yeah, I think I've always kind of been considered an underdog, which I don't mind. I think it's easier than having a target on your back at all times. So yeah, I'll be up there in the mix. I'm not too worried about that.
I will say I do think that you are also one of those dudes. So that wasn't like a knock of who I think is guaranteed to make any of those teams.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I didn't take any offense to it. But again, I do feel like I'm sort of an underdog, and I'm not sure why. I think I've proven myself to be consistent, you know, through rounds and always be in the top. I've been in every final since my freshman year of college, and I'll continue to be in every final until, you know, my career is over. That's the confidence I have in myself. And when you're in the final, anyone can win. So
In terms of just that underdog mentality that you carry a little bit, you have to think that, and you've only spent like limited amount of time with your new teammates, but you might be able to tap into that with, you know, even thinking of how Coach Danny Mackey approaches just the general competition is like you have your bigger groups sometimes, and then the Brooks Beasts have gone on to surprise people a lot in recent years, where even just the biggest example I would think is Josh Kerr and shocking people for the bronze at the Olympics. But if you go back and look at the groundwork of the conversations he has shared with Danny Mackey months in advance and has put it kind of out there within the small circle, he backed up those goals that he set along the way. And while to the public he might be an underdog, when the time mattered, he pulled it off.
yeah, no, I think you nailed it. And that's a big reason that I was excited to join this team. For some reason, I feel like everyone on this team is kind of an underdog, and everyone has that same like killer mentality though. Like, we want to be at the top. We want that like respect that we deserve. And even Danny as a coach, I feel like he's been an underdog, and time after time, you know, people are starting to understand like, all right, these guys are legit. Josh is definitely the best example with that. And I think, you know, over the next couple of years, there'll be more people winning medals.